Accountants. It's dubbed the future of trade, and Lee White is CEO of the accounting body. He's with us now live from our studios. Lee, welcome into the show. What's stunning is 1,500 senior members, you say, senior members of Australian and New Zealand businesses were surveyed here. These people were on the jet planes going to the free trade agreement destinations, and now they say they're irrelevant?
Yeah, I think that summary is really quite important, because what we seem to have here is a misalignment, perhaps where we actually see the direction for our country and what the business tempo is actually telling us. So if we're going to create prosperity for our country and continue to make sure Australia does the very best, we've got to make sure there is no misalignment here. And I think that survey research tells us there's something not right.
Now, just what have you concluded are the contributing factors to that misalignment as you describe it? What's top of the list?
Well, I think what we can see is a large part of that group that's given that sense of neutrality or no difference probably comes from the small to medium-sized businesses. And we know they're incredibly important to the economic prosperity, but what they're also saying is, I actually don't have time. We're here and now, we're trying to make sure that each day, each week, we're delivering our very best we can. So it seems that that sector needs a lot more support, a lot more help in understanding the potential of our markets, because this is all about opportunities, and we've got to make sure that group, that part of our economy, is as well supported as any other part.
When you see a statistic as part of your findings, less than half of the businesses you were talking to had local suppliers in the region. Now, so the problem seems to emerge where there's this mismatch between expectations domestically and the ability to deliver on them in that foreign market. Why are we lacking the boots on the ground follow-through, Lee?
Look, I sense there's a few factors involved here. One is still that probably a lot of our businesses are trying to stay with what's successful for them. And part of what this paper is encouraging is a discussion and a focus on where future potential might be. We see the impact of technology. We see that there is changing in consumer demand as well. So we've really got to help our businesses think in a much more forward-looking space, rather than being occupied with perhaps what they previously have done or the here and now. There is a conundrum here around our closest trading partner, our region in Asia. And what the analysis has shown is we're still not taking as much advantage into those spaces. Sure, China's our biggest trading partner here in Australia, and it will be very shortly for New Zealand as well. But what does that... We've got to unpack that a little bit more and understand the importance of our role and certainly how we want to enjoy the benefits of the region.
Well, to that end, the word that's on many policymakers' lips and key global centres right now is reciprocity. If you expect something of us, it's time that we say we demand this of you. Is enough of that being said, Lee, to your Chinese kith and kin?
Yeah, look, that's a really good point. And probably when we've seen changes occurring in other markets like the United States and the United Kingdom, what that's actually saying in a way is maybe the multilateral approach, which has been sort of preferred in many ways, won't hold us strongly going forward, and we're back to much more emphasis on bilaterals. And therefore, entering into a bilateral, it's nothing like any other type of relationship. You come to the table with what you can bring, which will be of value to the other party, so that you're not just expecting it to be one way. You know, we've got great talent in this country. We've got lots of innovation that we can rely on to share. But somehow some of our philosophy isn't flowing through. And I think another important piece of this is if you have a look at where a lot of the strength of our GDP comes from, it's from services. But if you look at what we're exporting, it's mainly goods.
Well,
there's another misalignment.
Well, to that end, as you seek to gain greater equilibrium between those two and end the imbalance, and I noticed that you said this country when technically you should be on message, should you not be saying our countries, Australia and New Zealand, given you have merged, correct? I mean, just to sort of give it the credit it's due, the body, the accounting body, is together as one across the Tasman now, yes? Your body.
Yes, we represent members both in Australia and New Zealand. We took that step. We do, to bring it together. And again, for very good reasons. Australia and New Zealand are fairly modest in size in many ways. Being combined actually means you have much greater impact.
And is that what you were endeavouring to persuade your British counterparts, now that Brexit, the timeline is on, you'll be submitting, will you, a joint proposal for the two markets to get equal access under new agreements struck, to your point on bilateral agreements? Would there be an argument to say bring Australia and New Zealand together to the table at the same time?
Look, that's a really good way of trying to summarise. I think in many senses it's very early to understand what's the true strategy with the United Kingdom, given the exit is virtually happening as we talk today. But I think it's an important piece to think how two countries as well aligned as Australia and New Zealand are can actually have a greater voice in some of the international market conversation. So it seems to me that's a really smart way to look for greater prosperity.
You heard it here firstly, and you backed it as well. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon. All right, we began with some scepticism and we end with some optimism. So that